So these things also come up by virtue of the fact that they have a lot of momentum. They have what I call cognitive momentum and emotional inertia. They've had so much repetition that they're going to come up by virtue of the fact that they've always come up before. So what to do about it? What to do about it? Now, not just in terms of your own ability to master anything in the area of life that's been challenging, but in terms of the people who you want to influence, because you've got to understand they're going to be coming from this. So what do most people do? Well, when people have a lot of painful stuff, there's certain choices that they make. One is they try to push through the pain. Has anyone ever tried to push through the pain in an area of life that's very challenging? The problem when you push through pain is, first of all, the pain is slowing you down. It's creating friction between you and what you want to do. Second, the pain creates a lot of noise in your mind. There's a lot of noise going on, so you may not even be able to observe or calibrate what the other person is doing in a way where you gather the necessary information, because there's just a lot of noise going on in your head. Does that make sense? Yeah. Not you, cancel clear. It's not you guys, but I'm saying people in general who have this problem. The third problem is when you push through pain, you're pushing the pain out in front of you. So the first thing that hits other people is not your words, but your pain. And what does that do to them? It's either going to turn them off or it's going to draw to you people who are in equal amounts of pain to you, because they're the only ones who get that vibe. And so then what happens is you wind up acting ineffectively, and then you think, oh, wow, I can't do it. And that just feeds into the pain. It becomes, I think a lot of areas of life where people are struggling is not that the endeavor is inherently difficult. It's just that what they've surrounded themselves with creates a tremendous amount of friction that they have to push against, in addition to whatever challenge the actual area has. Does that make sense to you? Is this describing reality for a lot of people? So what happens is the process of change or whatever becomes exhausting, even if this stuff over here is correct. This makes sense, yes? Now, what a lot of people do is they do positive programming. Now, I believe in positive programming. What I'm really talking about is this, is an area of life where people have been facing great challenges. It's not enough to have a good field technology. You have to have that. But you also have to cultivate consciousness. So I want to introduce this idea of witness consciousness. And witness consciousness enables you, when this old stuff arises, it enables you to see it without identifying with it, to experience it, but not have it distort your perception or drive your behavior. So you're not going to fight against it, but nor are you going to buy into it either. You can watch it as it's arising and then easily extract whatever information you need. Now, in an area of life where you've been dwelling on mistakes, if something happened, a miracle happened, and suddenly all the lessons you needed to learn were learned, what would happen to the need to dwell on the mistakes? I needed feedback from everyone. They would drop, right? Because you don't need to do it anymore. So the first valuable aspect of witness consciousness, it takes everything up until now that you've been dwelling on, and it takes away the need to dwell on it. So you're no longer buying back into it. Because I can guarantee you, when you go, it's not just that you've been dwelling on it, but also when you go in an area of life that's been very challenging, that old stuff is going to come up. It's going to come up even if you stop reinforcing it by virtue of the fact that it has all this momentum. But if you have witness consciousness, first of all, you can apply it when you go to ruminate on it. But also you can apply it in the real world when you start to feel the challenging stuff come up. So without fighting it, because when you fight it and push back against it and resist it, it takes on it creates friction in your system, right? And the process of change or achievement can feel exhausting. Not because the area of life has any inherent difficulty, it may or may not, but because of this process of internal friction. Does this make sense? Yes. So witness conscious also in the world, when you're doing this, makes it much easier, because when the old stuff arises, you can experience it without fighting it and without buying back in and re-identifying with it. This is a key piece. That's why I say developing witness consciousness is hugely important. Now, there's creative consciousness, too. What do I mean by creative consciousness? Well, being able to visualize new possibilities, programming in the way you would like to be, getting fantastic intuitions, tapping into creativity, hidden skills and talents, crucially important. And this is what a lot of self-improvement courses teach. They teach the field tech and they teach creative consciousness and self-programming. Don't I teach programming and visualizing? I believe in it. The problem is, if you do this, but you haven't handled that, they wind up fighting each other. Now, in an area of life where you've done positive programming, but you're also done a million repetitions of dwelling on mistakes, and you've done maybe 1,000 over here, which one is going to have more momentum to your brain? The old one. So when you go to change, you feel like this internal war. A small aspect of yourself wants to move towards the new behavior, but you have all this other stuff over here. So you feel almost like there's a civil war, like you want to move forward, but you also want to stand still. This is what I deal with when I teach speed seduction and guys have approach anxiety. I say, no, it's not approach anxiety, it's internal friction. Because part of you wants to go talk to the girl, and another part is saying, no, stand perfectly still until you're sure you're going to say the absolutely right, perfect thing. Anyone ever encountered this? Raise your hand, you dirty liars. Okay? You understand what I'm saying here? So the first breakthrough I give people is that feeling that you're feeling in your body is not anxiety, it's friction. It's what happens when two opposing, equally strong commands are butting heads or rubbing against each other. All that stuff that these guys feel in their body contains no information about what may happen in the world. It says nothing about what that person's going to do with you or to you. It's only a sign that there's an internal conflict going on. So what happens is people have this internal conflict because one set of commands is saying, do this, and the other set is going, no, do that. And they falsely interpret that. The meaning they give that signal is, oh, I'm about to be defeated or humiliated and fail in the world. When in fact, all it means is there's something going on inside of you. The moment I can get them to see that and to realize that this thing going on here has no information value whatsoever about what's going to happen over there, that's the start of getting real leverage into their experience. So what happens is, if I can diagram it, there's two things going on when you encounter this. And how is this germane to persuading people? Because persuasion also involves personal relationships. And in personal relationships, you are going to encounter this in areas of life that are emotionally charged, which are the ones we want to deal with anyway. So first of all, by practicing this, you're not on autopilot anymore. You begin to have tremendous choice. When my father died, I was with my father when he died, and I had all the emotions going through my body, but I didn't fight them, and I didn't buy into them either. So the emotions I was experiencing when my father was dying, I could track them, I could feel them. I didn't fight them, but nor did I identify with them or make them the only thing I looked at the experience through. They were part of the picture, but they weren't the whole picture. You understand? Yeah. So it gives you tremendous flexibility and also a tremendous variety of experience. You understand? So what happens is people have the experience of they're fighting themselves, right? They have the new stuff they programmed in and the old stuff that has a lot of momentum. And what happens is these two, one is saying move forward, the other is saying no, stand still. It's like if I took a remote control car, you ever see a remote control car? And I gave it the command to go backwards and forwards at the same time, what would happen? What would happen to the motor? Burn up. So that internal sense of burning up, of shaking, is really just this going on. There's an internal conflict. So that's one set of, so if you say that the internal conflict creates like 10 points of suffering, right? The next thing is people not only have the internal conflict, they misinterpret the meaning of it. The meaning they assign to the internal conflict is not, oh, this is just an internal conflict with me. The meaning they give it is, I'm about to be humiliated or defeated or fail in the world. So now you have the internal conflict multiplied by the misinterpretation. I don't know how to spell. Okay, cancel clear, I can spell. You get the suffering, the neurological suffering created by the conflict, multiplied by the less than useful meaning. How's that? The meaning that is assigned to the conflict